Thank you so much. It's an absolute honor and pleasure to be here. What a beautiful campus that you have. I was walking around yesterday and really enjoyed myself interacting with some of you, the volunteers and some of you in this room today. I do have one little confession to make. I went to Shawnigan Lake School for a year. I was expecting some more booze, so you guys are quite nice. I did have a bit of a slower start to life, so I do attribute all this to Shawnigan, and I hear you guys don't have the same problem at Brentwood, so good job, teachers. Today, I wanted to share with you a lot of the challenges that I've had in life and some of the tools that I've used to overcome them. But before I dive into it, I did want to tell you a bit about the run that I have coming up. So yes, that's correct. I'm attempting to be the youngest Canadian to run 7 marathons over 7 days, over 7 different continents. So let me put this in perspective. 7 marathons is the equivalent of running 300 kilometers. That's the same as running from Victoria all the way to Tofino. And any of you that are TV buffs here, the total time on my feet, pounding pavement, and in my case, snow as well, that's the same as watching all 4 seasons of Stranger Things. I've been asked too, how many flight hours is the run going to be? 60 hours. So that's the same as sitting on an airplane for me as sitting in this auditorium for 2.5 days straight. Painful, right? So let me show you what this looks like. So this is going to be my journey. On November 11th, I'm going to fly to Cape Town, where I'll try to accommodate the new time zone and get used to it before it completely gets messed up again. My first run's going to kick off in Antarctica, where I'll be, struggling through the snow. 5.5 hours later, I'll be flying back to Cape Town for marathon number 2. Then I can go all the way to Perth, Australia for marathon number 3. Take a flight 20 hours to Istanbul, where I'll be running marathons number 4 and 5 on both sides of the bridge, Asia, Europe. Then I'll be traveling 17 hours to Colombia for marathon number 6, and then finishing off in Miami for marathon number 7. So, everyone asks me as well, which run am I most nervous for? Let me just get the obvious out there. Running on snow for 42 kilometers does not sound that appealing, right? I'm a bit nervous for that. So, throughout this, I'm going to be battling extreme temperatures, trying to keep my feet dry and warm, negative 10 to 15 degrees plus wind chill. I'll be doing 2 laps around this beautiful mountain that you see here. Next, I'm going to be battling the heat and humidity in Istanbul. And I'm going to be battling my body in Colombia and Miami for the last 2 marathons. Finding your why, the reason for pushing through when everything else tells you to stop. So why am I doing all this? It's a very good question. I'm still trying to figure it out myself. I had a major accident in my life that almost changed the trajectory forever. This was the last photo taken. You can see my brother in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, dirt biking in beautiful Squamish, British Columbia. The next thing I remember, for all the parents out there concerned about their children, I woke up in the intensive care unit at St. Paul's Hospital. I'd completely shattered my elbow, I'd shattered my forearm, and I lost complete feeling in my hip and my thigh. So the doctor came into the room and he looked at me and said, "Collin, I have some good news and bad news." I said, "Doc, hit me with the good news." Good news always first, right? Doctor said, "We just performed a very intensive 3-hour surgery on you and everything went smooth." I said, "Oh geez, that's the good news. What's the bad news?" He said, "Your mobility in your arm as you knew it will be no longer. You won't have full range of motion and you won't have mobility in your arm." So as soon as the doctor told me I wasn't able to use my arm, that's obviously when I wanted to use my arm the most. So I spent the next few days in intensive care, and then I was released, and then I spent the next year of my life trying to recover. No matter what I did, RMT, physio, I even went to naturopathic treatment, PRP, I tried everything. At the end of the year, I still felt like I was walking around with somebody else's arm attached to me. So why am I telling you all this? Well, I had a lot of time to reflect in the hospital, and my biggest fear in life was being 80, 90 years old on my deathbed, looking back at my life, realizing that I left so much potential untapped and leaving a lot on the table. So I encourage you to find your why. Please, a little disclaimer, don't go dirt biking and injure yourself to find yours. Finding your way. How many of you feel like you're spread too thin? No hands? Everyone's got a completely calm life? Yeah. Okay, I see a few there. Yeah. That was me. I always felt like I was working 80, 90% capacity at everything. My life was very busy. It was very hectic, but I was never excelling at anything. So I was working 12 hours a day in the corporate grind. When things got challenged there, I would spend time playing sports. I was part of many different sports clubs. When things got challenged there, or I got injured, I would spend time hanging out with friends and family. If relationships got pressed, I'll go back and work long hours, and it was this vicious cycle going around and around. So after my accident, and after realizing that I'm never fully untapping my full potential, I discovered this term in an interview that I was watching online. A Japanese concept where you set a challenge that pushes you beyond what you think is possible. This is the misogi. Let me read that again. A challenge that pushes you beyond what you think is possible. Sounds scary, right? Well, yeah, it is. I didn't know what my misogi was going to be. I didn't know any of the details. All I knew is I wanted to try this misogi. So I was driving from Vancouver to Whistler one day, 122 kilometers, and I thought to myself, I wonder if this is possible to run. I dismissed the idea quickly, said that's too crazy, but for some reason, this idea just kept popping back into my head. There's two problems. Number one, I was 40 pounds heavier than I am today. Number two, I never ran in my entire life. So how was I going to do this thing? So it was perfect. The misogi was perfect because it scared the heck out of me. So as my training progressed, I ended up trying to piecemeal this into bite-sized pieces. Before I told anybody that I was going to run to Whistler, I decided to run 10 kilometers a day at 5 in the morning, 5 days a week for 3 months straight. I got through the 3 months, and I probably wanted to quit more than 100 times. It's very challenging. I was slow. My body hurt. I told myself all these different excuses as to why I wasn't the proper runner frame, and this idea was just a little bit too crazy. I ended up training for the next 8 months after that, and that's when I started telling people that I was going to run to Whistler. And I got told that I was crazy quite a bit. So I spent thousands of kilometers training on the road, never being a runner, and started to wrap my head around this. I learned a few things during this training that I want to share with you. Routine is stronger than any quick motivational boost. We've all been sent inspirational YouTube videos, Instagram reels, heard inspirational quotes. The problem with this is it gets you excited for a little bit, and if that motivation stays with you for a day, if it stays with you for a week, or if you're an outlier and it stays with you for a month, the motivation eventually fades. Routine is stronger than any motivational boost. Tackle that little voice. We all know the one that I'm talking about, right? See some head nods. Yeah, that little voice. Mine was the loudest at 5 in the morning when I knew I had to get out and run. It was raining and it was cold. This voice just ran wild in my head, telling me all these crazy excuses on why I should stay in bed. And they all sounded very good. I was even thinking, some of these excuses were, geez, I wonder if you're going to get hit by lightning. It's raining pretty hard. I mean, it's wild the things your mind comes up with. So how do you tackle this little voice? Well, you tell it to shut up, and you tackle it within the first 1 or 2 seconds and don't negotiate with it. And finally, keeping the contract you made with yourself, especially when no one is watching. So if you're setting ambitious goals, keep that promise and contract with yourself. I just want to share a very short video of me accomplishing something that I never thought was physically or mentally possible. This is a video of me after running 18 and a half hours straight, 2,200 meters of elevation, and you can imagine I was pretty tired. Tired, right? So I spent an entire year of my life preparing and training for this day. I was so focused on this one moment in my life where I hated running. I didn't enjoy any part of the training along, but all I had was this one moment in my head trying to reach the finish line. So what I wanted to share with you today and leave you with is, please enjoy the journey, not just the finish line. Thank you very much.